and welcome to the Blindfold Chess Podcast.
This week, we are looking at one of the strongest women to have ever played the game. A World Rapid Champion, a two-time World Blitz Champion, a gold medal Olympiad winner, a World Champion runner-up, and one of 4 women who have broken the 2600 rating barrier, and someone who is not afraid to sacrifice her titles to combat large injustices. Anna Muzychuk. Born in 1990 in Ukraine, she grew up in a chess family. Both of her parents were chess coaches, so she and her sister learned how to play chess at the age of 2. In an interview with ChessBase, she said that she could put pieces on their starting location at 2 years old, and at 3 she knew the rules, and at 5 she played in her first tournament, which was a school championship, where she placed second. Growing up, she said that her favorite players were Garry Kasparov and Judith Polgar. In that same interview with ChessBase, she said that in 1998, when she was 8 years old, she was at a tournament with Judith Polgar where Judith was playing a simul. Anna liked one of the games that Judith had played in that simul, and so the next day, Anna played that same variation in the final round of her tournament, where she won the game and won the tournament as a result. By the time she was 10, she was able to beat both of her parents. As a teenager, she was studying chess 6 to 8 hours a day. She had a couple of coaches growing up, including Roman Kozel, Oret Gitsak, and Vasily Ivonchuk. They couldn't be full-time coaches as her family had a hard time affording the grandmaster coaching rates, but they did do what they could afford. Anna became a highly decorated chess player growing up. If you look at her rating graph and the level of tournaments that she competed in, they both go up and to the right. At the European Youth Championships, she won the Under-8 Girls Division in 1996, the Under-10 Division in 1998 and 2000, the Under-12 Division in 2002, the Under-14 Division in 2003 and 2004. She won the Ukrainian Girls National Youth and Junior Championships for Under-10 in 2000, Under-12 in 2002, and Under-20 in 2004. She also won bronze at the World Youth Championships in 2000 in the Under-10 division. She won silver in 2002 in the Under-12 division, and she won silver in the Under-14 division in 2004. In 2001, her rating reached a new high of 2197, where she earned her women's FIDE title. In 2002, she played in her first European Individual Women's Championship at the age of 12, finishing with an even score. She had also earned her Women's International Master title. The next year, at the age of 13, she reached a FIDE rating of 2300 and became the Ukrainian Women's Chess Champion. In 2004, she earned her Women's Grandmaster title. She also left her home federation of Ukraine in order to play for Slovenia. There were conflicts with leadership in Ukraine, and she was disappointed that even as the Ukrainian women's champion, she was not given a chance to play for the Ukrainian national team or for the Olympiad team. She would remain residing in Ukraine, but she would play for Slovenia starting at the age of 14. In 2005, she won the World Youth Championships in the Under-16 Girls Division, going undefeated. The next year, she reached a new milestone, hitting a FIDE rating of 2400. At the Women's Chess Olympiad of 2006, she earned 2 norms toward her International Master title, and she earned her final norm at the Serbian Women's League to grant her her IM title in 2007. She also competed in the European Women's Blitz Championship and the Rapid Championship. She won the Blitz tournament and came in second at the Rapid Championship. In 2008, she got her first glimpse of the Women's World Chess Championship. This was a 64-player knockout event where she was the 11th seed. She made it through the first round 2-0, but faltered to Zhorzholiani Harika on tiebreaks in round 2. In 2009, she recalled a game against Viktor Korchnoi where the position was equal. She offered the former World Championship challenger a draw, but Korchnoi continued to play on and he eventually lost on time. She asked him about the draw after the game, and he said that he did not hear it. She went to the tournament organizers to request that they change her win to a draw, but her teammates requested that they retain the win since it would help their overall score. By 2010, her rating had climbed to over 2,500. As her rating grew, she continued collecting more Grandmaster norms. The first was at the European Club Cup for women in 2008. The second was at the Inventi Chess Tournament of 2009. In 2010, she almost got her third norm at the Tata Steel Tournament Group B, but she finished with a 2580 performance rating, and the requirement is a 2600 performance rating. While she was collecting these norms, she played in the World Junior Under-20 Girls Tournament, where she won first place with a score of 11 out of 13. She also qualified via her rating to her second Women's World Chess Championship, entering as the 7th seed out of 64 players. This time she made it to the third round before faltering to Zhu Wenjun, who was the 10th seed at the time. In 2011, she picked up her third Grandmaster norm by playing in the 2011-2012 Grand Prix tournament. She picked up her fourth norm at the European Women's Team Chess Championship, where she had a phenomenal performance. She finished with an 8.5 out of 9 score, including 6.5 out of 7 against higher-rated opponents, a performance rating of 2792. She earned an individual gold medal, her rating climbed to 2580, and she officially earned her Grandmaster title at the age of 21. The next year, Anna reached her peak rating of 2606, becoming the fourth woman in history to join the 2600-plus rating club, joining the ranks of Judith Polgar, Konoru Hempi, and Ho Yifan. She also reached an all-time career best of being the second highest-rated woman of all time, behind Judith Polgar. Currently, she is still fourth on that list. She also played in her third Women's World Chess Championship, coming in as the third seed, but she was eliminated in the second round on rapid tiebreaks. In 2014, Anna played in the Women's World Blitz Championship and won by 2.5 points to become the official World Women's Blitz Champion, and raising her Blitz rating to 2665. This tournament was her last major victory while playing under the Slovenian flag. In May of 2014, she returned to the Ukrainian Federation, playing in and winning the Ukrainian Women's Championship. 2015, she played in the Women's World Championship once again, entering as the third seed out of 64 players. She made it to the quarterfinals this time, which was her best performance to date, before losing to Pia Kramling on rapid tiebreaks. Fun fact about the 2015 Women's World Championship, Anna's sister, fellow Grandmaster Maria Muzychuk, also made it to the quarterfinals. So 2 of the final 8 players of the Women's World Championship were the Muzychuk sisters. Maria ended up winning the event to become the world champion after defeating Natalia Pogonina in the finals. In 2016, Anna won the first prize in the women's section at the Gibraltar Chess Festival. She took home an individual gold medal at the Women's Chess Olympiad, and at the end of the year, she played in the World Rapid and Blitz tournaments, winning them both. She became only the third person to win both events behind Susan Polgar in 1992 and Magnus Carlsen in 2014. In 2007, in March, she earned the Order of Princess Olga, 3rd class, in Ukraine, which was presented to her on International Women's Day to women for, quote, personal merits in state, production, scientific, educational, cultural, charity, and other spheres of social activities, end quote. She was given the award for her gold medal performance at the Olympiad the previous year. At the Women's World Championship, she came in as the second seed out of 64. She easily made it through her first 6 rounds, coming off of 8 wins and 2 draws with 0 losses, including the 7th seed and 3rd seeds, as she reached the finals where she won against Tan Zhangji, the 9th seed, to determine who would become the women's world champion. Prior to their meetup, they had only played 2 games against each other, both finishing in draws. They both won 1 game in their 4 classical games before moving on to rapid tiebreaks. They drew game 1, but Tan won the 2nd tiebreak to become the women's world champion, and Anna finished up as the runner-up. Though she didn't win, Anna's performance was still quite astounding. She was the only player out of the 64 that did not need to take a tiebreak game at all the way up to the championship match. At the end of the year, Anna made headlines for her decision to boycott the World Rapid and Blitz Championship, forfeiting both of her titles. The tournament would be taking place in Saudi Arabia. Her reasoning was on the country's restrictions against women, including the clothing they could or could not wear, and the necessity for women to be accompanied by a man whenever they were outside. She refused to participate despite the prize fund being 5 times higher than when she had won the event the previous year. In a Facebook post, she said, quote, "In a few days, I am going to lose 2 world champion titles, one by one, just because I decided not to go to Saudi Arabia, not to play by someone's rules, not to wear a abaya, not to be accompanied getting outside, and altogether not to feel like a secondary creature. Exactly 1 year ago, I won these 2 titles and was about the happiest person in the chess world, but this time I feel really bad. I am ready to stand for my principles and skip the event, where in 5 days I was expected to earn more than I do in a dozen tournaments combined. All that is annoying, but the most upsetting thing is that almost nobody cares. That is a really bitter feeling." End quote. Due partially to her comments, which were shared over 74,000 times with over 165,000 reactions, and partially due to other players' visa issues, the following year, the tournament was moved out of Saudi Arabia and moved to Russia. In 2018, she competed again in the Women's World Championship as the 4th seed, making it back to the quarterfinals before losing to Alexandra Kostenyuk on tiebreaks. In 2019, she made it back to the Women's World Championship. This time it was reformatted as a candidates tournament, where she came in 2nd, just missing out on playing for the World Championship title. She also finished in 2nd at the World Blitz tournament for her 3rd total medal at the event. In 2020, she won the Brilliancy Prize at the Gibraltar Chess Festival. In 2021, she provided commentary with Vishwanathan Anand at the 2021 World Chess Championship, which featured Magnus Carlsen going against Jan Nepomniachtchi. And that puts us out today. Anna is still an active player, where earlier this year in 2025, she won the Norway Chess Women's Tournament. Her rating is still healthily above 2,500, and she is rated 6th as the time of writing this on the top women's player list. For our game this week, we are going back to the Maya Chiberdandasi Cup of 2009, with Anna Muzychuk going against Mary Zhorzholiani. Now, if we're ready, let's begin.
1. Pawn to e4. Pawn to d6. 2. Pawn to d4. Knight f6.
This is the Perk defense. Black is immediately attacking White's center, forcing White to decide on defending or expanding. Black's idea usually orbits around playing g6, bishop g7, castle kingside, and eventually break with a move of pawn to c5 in order to open up the a1 h8 diagonal for their dark square bishop.
3. Knight c3. Pawn to g6. 4. Bishop g5. Pawn to c6. 5. Queen d2. Bishop g7. 6. Bishop h6. Bishop captures h6. 7. Queen captures h6.
White is a little behind in development, having spent 4 of her first 7 moves moving the bishop and the queen, but this is a positional victory for white. If black's main idea is to have the dark squared bishop help attack and undermine the center, as well as provide protection against the king, and white is able to neutralize all of that in 7 moves, that should count as a pretty big positional win.
Knight b to d7. 8. Castle queenside. Queen a5. 9. Knight f3. Pawn to b5. 10. Pawn to e5. Pawn d captures e5. 11. Pawn d captures e5. Knight g4. 12. Queen f4. Pawn to b4. 13. Bishop c4.
By playing bishop to c4, white is allowing her knight on c3 to be captured by playing pawn captures on c3. Can you see why Anna chose to go this route? If black were to play pawn captures on c3, then white can just come crashing into black's camp by playing queen captures on f7 check, forcing the king onto the d file where the rook on d1 is waiting patiently.
Knight d captures e5. 14. Knight captures e5. Knight captures e5. 15. Knight d5.
The knight was under attack on c3 from the pawn that is on b4. Now Anna intentionally moves it to d5, where it can be captured by the pawn that is on c6. Why did she do this? The answer is tactics. If black were to play pawn c6 captures on d5, white can play queen captures on e5, putting pressure on the rook that is on h8, as well as being able to recapture the pawn that is on d5 with either the rook or the queen or the bishop, which will allow more momentum for white with the black king still in the middle of the board.
Pawn to f6. 16. Knight captures f6 check. Pawn e captures f6. 17. Queen captures f6.
White did sacrifice a knight for 2 pawns. However, queen captures on f6 puts pressure on what black pieces? That would be the rook that is on h8, the knight that is on e5, and if black gets super careless and moves the queen off of the a5 to d8 diagonal, white could play rook to d8 checkmate.
Rook f8. 18. Queen g7. Bishop d7.
After the move bishop to d7, how would you continue putting pressure on black's position? You can do that by playing rook h to e1, which pins the knight to the king, with black not having a clean way to defend it.
19. Rook h to e1. Castle queenside. 20. Rook captures e5. Black resigns.
With white spending a couple of extra tempo in the opening to throw off black's intentions, white managed to develop while keeping the black king in the middle of the board, and it wasn't until move 19 that black could castle, and by that point they were already losing a piece. So overall, a really fun and well-played game by Anna. One of the strongest playing women players in the history of the game, a gold medal Olympiad winner, a World Rapid Champion, a World Blitz Champion, a World Champion runner-up, and being willing to sacrifice her titles to make a point to change the world, Anna Muzychuk has made and continues to make a lasting impact on the chess world that many aspire to today. So that is all that we have for this week. Tune in next time where we will continue to work on our blindfold skills and look at another game of the Masters.